Do not deserve.
You're good. You're good. No problem at all. How you doing?
I'm good for you. Well, morning for you.
I wish I was where you're at. This seems to be quite the con. More than I had.
It is. It's been great, but guess what? We're manifesting it for you next year.
Yeah.
We all gonna be out here, and we'll be able to like do this in real life.
Yeah, because of I've been looking to go. I've been knowing about Con Lion since 2018 ish. So I've known about it before people who look like us really started to go.
Right.
I remember it was just
absolutely.
mostly white people that were going. If you were going, you were like bougie, like you were like in the 10% or the 10% or whatever.
Yes, absolutely.
Now with the because of the creator and influencer era, it's really
yes, and I mean, that's a lot of the conversation that's been happening this week about just how much it has changed, not necessarily in a bad way, but just like really changed to include creators more. And there's so much more of a focus on creators. It was a lot of talk about that.
Yeah, and I've seen it every year when you go for credentialing and such. It literally the criteria changes. Like it used to be back in the day that you had to staff. It went from you had to in the staff media SD.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even take freelancers. Then they slowly loosened up the freelancers. Then they slowly loosened up the podcasters. Now now that the floodgates are open now.
It changes. The goalposts keep changing.
It's great to have you here for sure. So Lauren, are you from New York?
I am from New Orleans.
New Orleans. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. So you live in New Orleans now, or are you just from New Orleans, or both?
Yes, I'm back in New Orleans now. I moved back there 2 years ago, but I'm still part-time in New York as well. Okay. But yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm guessing you'll be around during Essence next week.
I will. Yes, that is the reason that I'm coming back from Cannes so early. I originally wanted to stay a little longer and take advantage of being over this way, hop around like most people are doing, but gotta get back for Essence.
Yeah. Came by quick. I don't want to say it came by quickly, but it will come up on you if you don't realize.
It will sneak up on you.
But yeah, it's great. Thank you for connecting with me and all. Again, I wish I could be there. I hear it's been really hot. Is that true? Is that the case?
Anytime I'm feeling like it's hotter than New Orleans, that's a problem. I mean, it is. And I've even heard I've talked to some local people, some local French people, and they're saying, no, like, this is not normal. This is not like the hottest that it has been for a summer in a minute.
I hear. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been there? Have you been at Con Lions so far?
I've been here since Monday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is my fourth day here. Yes. So you forget the days around here when you're like, what day is it? Yeah. I've been here for 4 days so far. I leave Saturday. So.
Gotcha. Did you go to the Oprah event?
I didn't. It was so crazy. Every time Oprah was speaking somewhere, I was somewhere else. She even did like a pop-up surprise at female. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm manifesting that like before I leave, I'm going to have my Oprah experience because everybody is getting their Oprah picture.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been following media back. Well, I mean, media is universal now, but I don't know if the algorithm has picked up the controversy that's going back stateside from Con Lions. So the festival has been kind of been trending in not necessarily the way it probably wanted to be in some respects.
Oh, Lord.
Because of what she said about Whitney Houston, which I won't really get too much into here, but yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother snippet.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. But you've worked across some of the biggest cultural platforms I've read in live events and entertainment. So how would you say, Lauren, that Con compares to spaces like Super Bowl activations or NBA All-Star Weekend or Essence from your experience or Grammys, VMAs, or South by Southwest? You name it.
Sure. So I will definitely say, I have to really give credit where it's due. Coming here to Cannes Lions, it takes the cakes in terms of activations and the way brands show up. I haven't been to anything where I have seen brands show up like this in terms of activations. And I'm talking about the amount of money that you can clearly see is spent on these activations. I mean, when I'm telling you, some of these activations look like mini museums.
Really?
And, they're bringing in extreme top tier talent. I mean, if you think about how much it probably costs to get Oprah to come to have a panel talk with you, and then she's not the only big name they're having, I bring up like female quotient because that's one of my favorite ones to always go to. And not only did they have Oprah, they had Tina Knowles, they had Hoda Kotb, they have Sierra. I think she's going on right now. So, I mean, when you think about like how much all of these top names cost just there alone, and then you have the amount of spend that it will cost to build just a really curated experience, and to do that in a place like Cannes where it's like you're building on the beach, right? So it's not like you're building on a ground or in a convention center where they already have the setup for drapery and foundation. No, like it's on sand. So you have to bring the foundation there. You have to bring the lighting and all of that there. So, I mean, the activations are top tier. I'll be honest. I think there's no festival or conference I've been to thus far that brings it the way brands bring it at Cannes.
Yeah. So it looks like, from what I've read, that your career has been rooted in comms, communications, but not just publicity in traditional sense. How do you find, Lauren, modern communication in the year of our Lord 2026?
I'm sorry, you said how do I find modern communication doing what?
How do you define modern communication in the year 2026?
Yeah, so I think, definitely the communications industry has changed just as the media industry is changing. And I think right now it's not just about traditional communications in the sense of like pitching and getting your client or brand in a publication or something like that. I think it's really going further to look at like, what are the ways that you can connect with your audience in a creative but unique and authentic fashion? It's looking at ways that you can like cut through the noise, because now there's more noise than ever. So I think for like communications in 2026, I think it's really about being innovative. I think it's about being innovative while also like building trust, right? Because now we have more brands than ever. We have more channels than ever that we're getting news from. We're getting news from now, you have so many platforms. Before it was like, yeah, you could just count on Twitter. You could just count on Facebook. You had like maybe 2 or 3 that you could go to. You have a new social media platform popping up almost every week, right? So now people are getting their news in so many different ways. So it's about like, how can you stay top of mind with all of the different ways that people are getting news and spoken to?
Let's talk about community. So it looks like community is or has been or is becoming one of the most valuable forms of influence. And particularly if we're just going to talk about influence in itself, what does that mean to you? And why do you think brands are paying closer attention to community-led power? You kind of hinted at it already, but what you were just saying with the decentralization of all the communications or media platforms out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I love this question, Clay, because I'm so about community, just personally and professionally. But I think brands are starting to understand now that people are less driven by just salesy kind of things, right? If you really think about the way that we go about purchasing things, or even the way we just go about having experiences, 9 times out of 10, it's through word of mouth. We know someone that liked this, or this person said this was popping, or this was wonderful, or this person said this destiny, these people are saying Cannes Lion is great. Or, it's like we look to other people for that validation before we try something, buy something, watch something. So now more than ever, community matters, because that's how people are experiencing things. And I also think that community matters so much now because people are leaning on each other more than ever right now. I'm seeing people like, just for a number of different reasons. I think obviously the economy and just like a lot of things we're going through, I think people are starting to just kind of band together and understand like what it's going to be able to get to a certain place. It's like you really have to now come together and build together because it's getting harder to do it by yourself for, certain reasons, whether that be lack of capital, lack of opportunity. It's like now more than ever, people are banding together to build together, to create together. And I think brands are seeing that like community is everything right now. And if you have the power to move a community, that is like true impact and influence.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because really during these times that we're in, not to sound cliche, it is going to take a community-led spirit to really get us back to a place of not just cultural relevance, but a place of peaceful stability, whatever that will look like in this new normal.
Correct. Sure. Correct. I so agree with you, Clay, because I feel like it doesn't matter what happened. Like, we could be talking about anything, especially in pop culture, right? Sometimes for me, it's now gotten kind of irritating to get on platforms because we take everything and tear it apart. Everything becomes a word of a war on social media. And I'm like, oh my goodness, can we just, have peaceful debate? I'm like, Lord, we take everything and everything doesn't have to be torn down. Can we just, move on?
It's funny because it's like now I think social media has made it this way. And I think more so the past 10 years, even if you agree with someone on a topic, and I always say this when I have conversations about this, you can, two or more people can agree on one whole topic, but you will disagree and you will fight about how you arrive to that point of agreement. It's like,
oh, absolutely.
It's like we're all going, let's just say New Orleans, we're all going to Essex. So I live in North Carolina. I'm going to take 85 South. I'm going to take 85 South to get there. And that's how I'm going to get and take I-10. That's just how I'm going to get there. We're all going to agree. We're all going to get to Essex Fest. But number two, it's going to argue be about why flying is better than driving. But we're both disagreeing. We're both tearing each other down when we agree that the ultimate destination is just being at Essence Fest.
Essence Fest, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. It's
when we debate politics or any cultural issues like 50-50 or do you do coffee dates or do you do you think that a man should lead? Those type of personally those stupid debates, y'all, or even political debates. You can be talking about why for instance that Jasmine Crockett didn't win her primary in Texas, for instance, and then you could agree that she should have won, but then you'll be disagreeing and you'll be fighting each other about why you didn't arrive, how it got to this point, but then it becomes tags and people want to throw around their credentials or their degrees, and so that's just my little tangent on that.
I agree with you.
For sure. But and it's in a way now that everybody thinks they're an expert too, even amongst actual experts. But speaking of cultural relevance, speaking of cultural relevance, there's a lot of conversations, especially at Conline, about creativity and brand partnerships and such. What do you think brands still get wrong when trying to engage culture?
Oh, Lord. I think, and I can speak from this because it's interesting. I actually had a former client do this, so it's very top of mind. I think that it's still just like a buzzword to them, right? You are trying to engage with an audience and a community that you're really not invested in understanding, right? You just want to be able to get eyes in front of them. You want to be able to check the box and say that oh, yes, we're inclusive. We're whatever. You want to be able to target this audience, but you have not really invested in understanding how this audience moves, how this audience works, what this audience needs. You are invested in a one-sided approach where it serves you and it serves you only. And I think that is like my extreme frustration, especially with a lot of brands who want to invest in the culture and stuff like that. You want to hop on it because it's a trend. It's a buzzword and you see the benefits of targeting toward this audience, but you have not done the work to truly invest and understand like what matters to this audience, what they need, what they want, what they like, and how you're speaking to them, how you're supporting them. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about these brands who want support, but are you pouring that same support back into this community, into this audience? So I could go on, but those are some of my gripes with these brands who just don't get it right every time they want to, be for the culture.
The culture.
Yes. I'm so tired of hearing that word too. I'm like, if you can't use it correctly, don't use it.
What do you think authentic storytelling looks like now, especially in a moment where audiences can immediately tell when something feels forced or overly manufactured? And you just kind of hinted at it right there.
Yeah, I think that authentic storytelling right now, and I mean, you can tell, you can look and tell those brands that like, they really are about it. And I'll use this one just because I'm a woman and it resonates directly to me, but like Shea Moisture. I think Shea Moisture is so great at the way they market to Black women and women of color in general. They know exactly who they're speaking to. Their latest campaign that they did and everything for the silk press in a bottle, like understanding how women of color feel when, they go on a vacation and it's like, honey, we're not wearing that silk press. It's time to braid it up. It's time, you know what I mean? It's just like truly understanding what makes this audience tick and how do we solve that problem. But even in marketing this product to them, how do we do this in a way that like hits them and is authentic? But also what I really love too is that they understood the power of community and they didn't just focus on like bringing in influencers, right? Because I also think a lot of these brands have gotten so caught up in the creator culture. Every campaign now, I feel like, is marketed a lot of times directly to influencers. You see their marketing strategy and rollout, and it was a lot of influencer work, influencer events, influencer pop-ups. Okay, but the influencers are not your direct customers. They are the ones who are going to actually be purchasing this. So what have you done to bring the actual community into this event? And I love the brands who still understand the balance of it. Yeah, you do have to market to it, and you do have to embrace the influencers and creators and bring them into the campaign. But what have you done during this campaign to also reach your audience? What kind of pop-ups, what kind of things have you done for the community to experience instead of rolling out a whole just influencer and creator campaign? I think that's very tone deaf, just to me. So, that's just an example of like a brand that I see that really gets it right when it in authenticity.
Right. You've had major success inside large entertainment companies, and now you're also building as a founder and a creator, as you just alluded to. What has this reinvention, Lauren, looked like for you personally and professionally?
So personally, it has really been the most gratifying thing. I was just speaking with someone and telling them how I think throughout this, I really had to sit with and realize how much I tied my worth and my value to a title and to external validation. I'm very proud of the career I built and all the success, but I realized that every single clap, every single applause, it did something in me that it made me look for that. It made me tie like my worth to applause, right? And so now doing this on my own, obviously I still have my resume of what I've done and who I've done it for, but now I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this on my own and for others. And so I can truly have now that confidence in what I'm able to bring. And I think that's the most gratifying thing. Even something like this, like I've had like you said before when we first started, I've had can lines on my bucket for years. And I always thought that the first time I got there, it was going to be through one of these major companies I worked for or worked with. And so for this to be my first year here and it to be for me, not with the company, but it's me here for myself with my own brands attached. That is such a gratifying feeling that I didn't think I would ever feel. I didn't think I would ever be okay being here unless I was like with X, Y, and Z company. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's been really gratifying personally and obviously professionally as well. It's definitely been a journey and having to switch and learn. You know, I'm a corporate girly. I've always done a corporate. So having to learn how to think like an entrepreneur is really different, but I'm really enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying being able to challenge myself. You know, you get in a career and you've been in a career 10, 15 years, you start to feel like, okay, where's I'm going to learn something new. And I can tell you, I'm learning all the new things right now, being an entrepreneur.
Did you feel that corporate was, I don't want to use the word ultimate destination. I'm going to say, I'm going to take a risk here and say you and I are part of the same generation, millennials. Never want to assume. That's why I say that. But
thank you for not assuming.
I say that because I think we were fed this idea, especially Black millennials or Black millennial professionals specifically, that corporate in part was the way to go. It was the way to achieve that abundant life. And myself included, I don't know if you could speak to this, but we felt that we actually bought into it. When did you feel as though, at least transitioning into where you're at now, where I would say you're an executive creator, when did you start feeling that the corporate world was no longer feeling aligned with your journey?
Honestly, probably just very recently, like probably within the past 3 to 4 months. Because when I first transitioned, I really wasn't sure. I kept feeling like I was being called to this entrepreneurial life and just being able to tap into other endeavors and other gifts and talents I had. But I still kind of was holding out that, you know, there may be an opportunity that might come to go back into the corporate space. And it wasn't until maybe just a couple of months ago where, especially after the launch of the Culture Her and the first event we did in April, where the response was overwhelmingly amazing and more than what I expected. And I think that just told me, okay, you have the ability to create something very real here, right? And so this is your shot. This is your opportunity. You've been dimming your light for a while being in corporate spaces. This is, you know, I mean, like, this is the sign that, like, you don't need to have a brand or somebody attached to you to still have impact, have influence, and be successful.
For sure. How do you see executives, whether they are corporate intrapreneurs or even executives who transition like yourself out of corporate America, becoming thought leaders and creators in their own right, in their own respective spaces, current or new?
Yes, for sure. I actually feel like that is really like the new wave of where, like, create. And I won't say new wave because I feel like there's a tons of just different like lanes, but I feel like there's a real rise of popularity around these, like you said, thought leadership and expert creators. I mean, there was even, I think I was on TikTok the other day and I saw there was an actual doctor or dermatologist who is now creating content and doing, you know, the get ready and the skincare and telling you about all the skincares. And I'm like, wow, that's such a great thing. I don't know why no one ever thought of that. They're like, yeah, we want to hear from the licensed professional about what we should be putting on our face and things like that, you know? And so I think as people, you know, the past couple of years, I felt like, especially with a lot of like layoffs and restructuring, people are really at this stage of like pivoting and rebuilding and restructuring and figuring things out. So I feel like now more than ever, people are looking to other people for guidance, right? And examples of how to do it. And a lot of people are just in this like pivoting, rebuilding, healing journey. And so I feel like really now is the time for thought leadership and educational type of content creators.
You think there are too many content creators? And that's probably a dumb question, but I'll rephrase it more like this. You think that because look, it's democratized now. The ecosphere is very democratized and it's decentralized from what we even
Mm-hmm.
considered what a celebrity was just a few years ago, or what we've grown up knowing them to be, or any type of public figure. Do you just think that there's just too many voices to where it could actually drown out the actual quote unquote real voices out, influential voices out there?
I wouldn't. I think a little bit of both. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I obviously think, I think for me, I don't necessarily believe in saturated markets because I think, there's not just one thing that we all like, you know what I mean? People, my friends hate this, but if you look at my purse, I got about 10 different lipsticks in there. Okay. They all might look the same to you, but when I put them on, they look different to me. So it's like everybody, you go to multiple different voices for multiple different things. I don't think that's wrong, but I will say to your point, I do think when there's so many people talking about the same thing, sometimes it's almost like, how do you know what's real and what's not? How do you know if it's like, okay, and I say this about AI too. It's like, now every conference and everything you go to is talking about AI.
The last
and it's
few
like,
years, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, we're all talking about the topic of AI. It's like, we're all talking about the same thing. How do you know at some point when we're talking about the same thing? Okay, well, what is the revelation that we're getting to here? It's like, right, because we've all been talking about this same. So I do agree with you there that sometimes I feel like when it's all so many creators and we're all talking about the same things and everybody's got to get ready with me, I start to question where is the authenticity and I start to question where is the creativity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as I mentioned earlier at the top, like how many real experts do we have? Or do we just redefine or reimagine what the term expert actually
That's true.
is?
That's true. That's
Because
true.
we've known it to be, we've known it from the lens of old media for so long that we have to reimagine who is an
Correct.
expert now. I mean, my mom could be an
Correct.
expert. My grandma could be an expert. My dad could be
Yeah,
one.
and I bet you she is an expert on something.
Exactly. The actual doctors, licensed professionals are still experts.
Right.
But you were talking about going forward. So do you think the next generation of executives, whether that's in-house or independent or through their own situation, however you want to look at that, especially in the creator spaces or these type of spaces that we're discussing, do you think they will be expected to have a public voice or a content presence or a
Oh
community
yeah.
building strategy in all in themselves?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm seeing it now more than ever. I think with the way that things are going and with the content creation and social media just continuing to keep building and growing, I think now it's like that is probably one of the number one things when you build out a strategy is like you have to be visible. You have to find a way to bring your brand and bring your presence. It's again, this word visibility, now that's almost becoming a buzzword too when we talk about like visibility. So I definitely going to have some type of content strategy. And I think we're already having businesses, every single business now, I'm seeing doctors' offices and stuff are now putting out social strategies and they're doing content with the doctor in the doctor's office and showing you the before and after of procedures and like, those are things we didn't really used to see or know about until we went to the doctor. And now, we're seeing it online. So it's definitely coming.
Right, as I was talking about, these experts, quote unquote, and
Yes.
and remember, those old guard professions or professionals will even gawk or laugh at the idea of what we're now doing or seeing.
Correct.
Because they all thought that, we're just playing around on our phone, just being silly or whatnot. And
Yep.
for the longest time, right or wrong, this kind of leads on to my next set of questions, but that image of an influencer or bloggers were probably the earlier forms of it. it was the young white girl who drinks a iced coffee or doing yoga and such like that. But now we're really seeing it can be anybody. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're definitely. One lady wanted to publish a book. In order to really promote and sell her book, she has to do social media. And now she feels cultivated. She feels
Mm-hmm.
like she has to have a personality. When quite frankly, she don't really want to have the personality for social media, because the
Right.
whole term that people have always used was, when they don't want to do social media, I don't do it because I'm private. I live a private
Right.
life. So now we
Exactly.
have to
Exactly.
re-examine what living a private life means in this age where you pretty much have to have these personas now, or these personalities, or have
Right.
these lives on social media in order to, and quite frankly, have a livelihood.
Yes. 1,000%. You hit it on the nail.
Yeah. But you're also building the culture her with a HER at the end
Yes.
with that pronoun. What
Yes.
inspired that platform, or what need did you see for intentional spaces for women to connect and collaborate?
Sure. So when I relocated back to my hometown of New Orleans, and getting to know new people down there, reconnecting, for me, I really saw that there wasn't a space or community for women to connect. And I'm not talking about like, oh, just meet up or whatever. I'm talking about established women, women who are, ambitious women, and so, I had been fortunate to be in communities and organizations like that when I lived in these larger markets. But I was like, man, nobody creates these things down here in the Houstons, the Charlottes, the New Orleans. It's always created in these larger markets. They have all of these things. And I was like, I really feel the need to create this down. And I sat with it for a while because I wanted to make sure I was hearing correctly. And I just kept being called and pulled to it. I was meeting so many different women from different stages and places during my return to New Orleans, and they were all seeking the same thing. They were like, I really want to hang out with these type of women. I want to meet women who are like this. And I was like, wow, everybody is looking for the same thing down here. They're looking to connect with women who are like them, who want to do exciting things, who want to meet new people, who want to build together, trying to level up in their lives. I was like, I need to put all of these women together. So that was my first thought before I even thought about building an actual community or me. I was like, I just need to put all these women together. And once I started doing that, I just kind of realized, girl, you have actually been doing this your whole life. Like my friend circle now, it's made up of women who came from different parts of my life, and they don't even know each other outside of me. And I was like, I think this might be my purpose. So I just kind of went for throttle. I said, I'm going to do it. And, it just took a leap of faith.
Wonderful. And from what you can reveal, what kind of conversations are women having in these rooms that maybe aren't reflected in traditional industry spaces?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of women are having the conversations right now. Again, like I said, a lot of women are in rebuilding and pivoting stages where whether it's women who have been laid off, whether it's women who, they've been locked into the role of like a identity of being like a mother and a wife, and they're trying to figure out how to get back to themselves. Women who are launching and starting their own businesses, they're trying to like pivot from one career to the next. And they're just like looking for a place where it's like other women are going through that same type of thing. It's women who are talking about it. And I know to you as a man, it's maybe like frivolous or whatever, but it's like, oh girl, I want to get together this summer. You know what I mean? I want to really get in shape. I want to start really taking my health more seriously, or like, I want to change my style up. I want to start, dressing this way. So it's like all of those conversations where it's like only a certain type of community of women can really understand what you're talking about and going through. And it's like, let's go through it together. Let's build together. Let's see if there's an opportunity to connect our journeys.
For sure. Now, obviously, you're from New Orleans with such deep cultural power. This is a multi-part question.
Yeah.
How has New Orleans shaped the way you understand storytelling, influence, and community? And what do you think or feel people are missing when they only look to the New Yorks, the LAs, or the Atlantas, and such.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, New Orleans has been everything to my journey, and it has really shaped how I see, like you said, community. I think if anybody has ever come or visited New Orleans, you know, the minute you step off that plane, you feel the culture. We have so much history, but, you know, we love to celebrate, you know, we love to just connect with people. And when you come to New Orleans, you instantly start to make community with the person on the street. You know, that's what New Orleans is. And so I feel like that's been like instilled in me since birth. And I really do think that like when brands or whatever you may have it, when they only look to build these sorts of things in major markets, I think you're really missing an opportunity to, you know, you want to talk about inclusivity and diverse, but I think sometimes we limit ourselves in thinking that only means the things that we can see. Like, oh, diversity means, you know, your race or your body type or something. No, but diversity can also be a geographical diversity, right? You're missing the opportunity to really connect with people who think differently based on the geography and where they might have grown up. And so I think that brands are really missing an opportunity to connect with the different audiences, because, you know, everybody is not the same. And a black person or just a person in general that lives in Atlanta doesn't think like a person that might live in Houston. It is different from, you know, we all have different experience in our geography and our culture that we live in and grow up in. That is a huge part of how we think and move and act. And I think people are really missing out on an opportunity to connect with that.
Perfect. Well, that's all the time that we had here today. We could probably go on and on and on. But just real quickly, just tell folks how they can best follow you, support you, and everything that you have in your endeavors going on, Lauren, going forward after Con.
Sure. Yes. If you want to connect with me, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at Miss Lauren-Paige. That's MISS Lauren-Paige. Once you get there, you can, you know, I have a link tree in my bio, so you can literally find the links to catch me everywhere else, which includes the link to the Culture Her. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can find me everywhere else.
Guys, well, thank you again for your time, Miss Lauren.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we can connect in New Orleans next week or sometime soon down the road.
Yes, let's hear you down there. And thank you so much for this conversation. I really enjoyed sharing space with you.
For sure. Well, I'll be there from Friday through Sunday, so we'll make it happen.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, for sure. We'll definitely be in touch.
I'm going to let you continue to enjoy the French Riviera, and we'll connect on the other side.
Okay, bye, Clay.
Bye-bye.